Afternoon, guys. Welcome to another Tech Talk. Charlie here from Qual, and we're joined today with Pretesh from Cantel, who's going to be delving into all the fun things that Cantel do. They do hardware break fix and also project services, and I'll let Pretesh take it over. But thank you for joining, guys.
Hi guys, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Really excited to be on this live stream. So Cantel are a valued partner of Qual. And what Cantel do, we're predominantly a maintenance provider, so an independent maintenance provider. We're going quite a while. We were formed in 1986 with a few engineers who decided they want to perform maintenance services outside of what the OEM provides. So a small set of engineers in the Midlands started providing services on DG kit, which eventually became Data General, for those of you who know, taken over by EMC, and we kind of snowballed from there into a fully fledged independent maintenance provider that we are now to the enterprise, so UK and global as well. So fantastic, and it's great to be on. We also provide project services, so that's in the main mass rollouts throughout the UK and the globe, providing Windows 10 upgrades and installs into data centers. So yeah, really excited to be on, Charlie.
Awesome. And your break fix, how many sort of providers are you covering? Have you got is it sort of wide pool, or is it you've got very sort of niche?
Yeah, tier one vendors. So in the main, we're talking about anything in the data center or in your computer room. So server, storage, and networking, as well as a few security vendors as well. So the main thing about independent maintenance is that it's outside of the OEM, right? So it's the alternative to your HP Care Packs or your Dell Pro support or your NetApp support. Is we're providing our own parts, our own spares, and our own engineers to site to go and fix hardware faults which occur in your system, to those mission critical systems, to get them back up and running. So yeah, it ranges from anything or your tier X kind of your Intel servers. So you've got Dell, your HP ProLiant, so your HP ProLiant, your Lenovo, IBM, and even think independent vendors like Supermicro and Intel themselves, who make their own Intel servers.
Okay.
And in the storage side, we are EMC specialists, so we provide EMC support across now Dell EMC, so across the VNX storage, Unity, Data Domain, Isilon, and those types of vendors as well. So we see a lot of business coming from resellers in regards to end user compute as well, and when we're doing mass rollouts, there is the crossover into maintenance when we're looking at supporting maintenance. But there is some real good value when you're looking at independent support over the OEM support. And our sweet spot is kind of kit that's legacy or 2-3 years old when it comes out of warranty, although we can support new kit as well. And the real reason you want to do that is the value that we can offer in terms of cost and pricing. So if you're looking at, for example, 5 servers through a HP Warranty Care Pack, we can provide real value in terms of the cost through Qual when it comes to support for those servers. There'll all be HP genuine parts when we provide the contract, and the engineers are local engineers, and we'll stock the parts locally as well. So it's a real benefit over what you'd get from the OEM after that the initial warranty is expired.
And is it, when you say, obviously you guys compete with the OEM market in terms of like warranties and service packs and all that kind of stuff, sure. How does Cantel position itself so that I come from a background where I've not really entered this kind of market in terms of hardware break fix? I've kind of always gone for the OEM bag. So why would someone like myself pick Cantel over just picking like the 24/7 Dell warranty or the next level of Dell warranty, and to go to Cantel and pick something like that? Obviously, you know, Dell's a huge brand, and I assume that their warranty, the kind of service is going to represent that. And obviously, you guys have had to kind of build on that and make that your kind of bag. And obviously, I know that that's not going to be Dell's focus; that's going to be your focus. And you guys are going to, if anything, make a better service than what Dell's offering. But that kind of then means that is the cost not going to be similar or to what Dell offer?
That's a great question. I mean, the main reason we spoke about is the value, is the cost. But secondly, as well, is when things come, when your servers come to the point where they're 2 or 3 years old, there's less reliant on the firmware updates to come out. It's pretty stable at that point. That's where we come in. So we can provide. The great thing is we have localized parts as well. So in terms of spares, for each particular contract, we would stock spares locally, whereas the OEM might have a regional location. So, for example, HP have a regional location within the UK where they ship spares to. So, in terms of localized parts, if you've got a customer who's got a critical server that's coming to the end of its warranty, we can stock spares on site even or close to site. We have strategic locations across the UK and Europe where we provide spares really quickly to your site. So in terms of the service comparison, yes, it's comparative, and we provide a very similar service to what the OEMs, including Dell, provide, but we have localized parts. And you'll also get to know the engineer, which is great. Like the engineers are known to us. Obviously, there are employees, and those engineers will start to get to know your environment and your customers' environments on how they run, and even get to know the people within the IT department there as well, depending on the visits they make throughout the year. Another great thing about going for Cantel, it's multi-vendor, right? So if you've got a number of contracts, so if you've got a number of contracts, like you've got Dell servers, you might have some Cisco kit in there, or you might have some networking kit in there, and also some other types of storage, whether it be NetApp, Nimble, QNAP, whatever it might be. Have different renewal dates for all those different vendors. Now, it can get a headache for IT managers and IT procurement managers on keeping track of those renewal dates and making sure they're covered. But also for the support team and the IT support team, who do you call for what? Yes, okay, you're ringing through to Dell for the Dell support. You might have a different vendor dealing with other types of support. Well, what we found is that end users and customers are looking at trying to consolidate the contracts under one multi-vendor umbrella, which you get a one renewal date. So for the procurement manager, they've just got one purchase order then to look at throughout the whole year. You can then add and remove devices onto that contract. And again, you've got one throat to choke as well. So for the service team, the service manager, exactly, will deal with and look after all of the equipment. And our engineers are multi-vendor engineers as well. So you might have a specialist in some regions. So you might not be, if you had a fault on your Wintel server 1 week, it might be a different engineer that turns up for your Cisco device, because it might require CCNA or CCNP type accreditation for that person to come on site and fix whatever it is that needs to be fixed. But that we find is one of the real good selling points for independent maintenance over the OEM.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, I think every server room I've been into, there's always been a different vendor. There's been multiple vendors. And as you said, you get your HPs, you get your Cisco's, you get your Sonic Walls, you get all the different vendors in there. It's very rarely I've ever seen one server where it has the entirety is all one vendor. I know Dell are sort of venturing into having everything in one vendor, but the likelihood of you having that all to hand at the moment without buying it all brand new is so minimal.
So and you'll also have equipment that goes out of service life with the vendor themselves. They actually can't support it. And one of the great things about independent maintenance is that we can support kit that actually goes end of service life with the vendor, because the spares are available in the market. We're then able to utilize our engineers who have got the skill set in that particular vendor as well, and then provide support for kit that they're going to keep on. And we see a lot of that for things like Oracle and old Sun servers. legacy HP equipment, Alpha servers, those types of things, which are still going in the market, and those things are rock solid and are still going. We've seen 25-year-old servers
wow.
in a customer before. They've just been running and they've never turned them off. You know, it shows how versatile equipment is and how long it can actually last if you have.
Yeah, or Cantel looks after it. Then you know.
Yeah. Really.
And how is obviously with what's going on in the world, how is Cantel dealing with the current situation and things, and being able to sort of get access to parts and get access to engineers, and still carry out that kind of your SLAs and your targets and all that kind of stuff? Is that?
It's a challenging time, but IT needs to keep going. The support is absolutely available, whether it be remotely. Engineers are going on site. Providing support, obviously with the correct measures that are required in this current situation. Also, what we see in this time is that customers want to sweat their assets. Mm-hmm. So they might have projects that are delayed for new kit that they're purchasing, or upgrades that are doing within their environment, and that points towards having a look at their current equipment and making sure that it's covered for support, especially if it's in production, it's critical. Mm-hmm. So, while taking short-term contracts out with us, between 1 and 6 months, while you look at that project that you're going to upgrade in the future, we can support that equipment for you. So under one contract, and all different types of vendors as well in terms of multi-vendor contracts. So that's a real plus from our side in trying to help customers get through this time. Obviously, providing value as well, cost value over the OEM is always useful.
No, definitely, yeah, no, for sure.
The flexibility of the contract is key as well. So if you look at when you're purchasing OEM contracts, it's kind of rigid. If you've got a contract, a care pack, for example, or a pro support agreement on Dell, that's it. You can't then downgrade the SLA or uplift the SLA or completely remove it and get some sort of value back from that support agreement. With us, you can remove items from contract, you can add stuff on, you can downgrade the SLA, you can uplift the SLA, and that offers real value when it comes to these challenging times, when you're trying to have a look at your environment and see how you can sweat some of those assets and change some of the purposes of what your servers or storage might be doing.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea. I've never really thought about doing that. And obviously, I know, obviously, when you get new servers, you might want to not decommission them. You might want to make them do like an archive, or make them into like a test bed or something. But you might still want to keep them on under some sort of support. But as you just said, it'd be quite nice to go, I don't need it on 24/7. I might need it on next business day or something. But as you said, if you've already purchased into that realm, then you're stuck. But with Cantel, you could obviously tweak them and change them down. So you go, well, this server's now not frontline, it's now being used as a backup server, so we don't need to worry about it being permanently on or being available 24/7 for support. It might just be next business day or wherever the lower levels are.
Yeah, and there might be times where we talk about the OEM and support, support contracts. We're directly competing with them in some cases. However, there are occasions that happens often actually, where we believe a piece of equipment should stay with the OEM for support. So offering a hybrid solution. So there might be new servers, for example, HP offer firmware on their support contracts that they have for the care packs and support contracts they have, and they're unavailable to independent maintenance providers. So we have to then look at a customer's environment and look at their asset list and go, okay, there might be 10 items on this list which actually we recommend to stay with the OEM for another year, because we do the analysis and there might be some major firmware updates that get released that you're going to need. However, these other 20 items, they're perfect and primed for independent support through Cantel. So bring those over, you'll provide some cost value there. And hey, guess what? For the 10 servers there are with the OEM, you can still raise the call on us and we'll manage that ticket for you. Mm-hmm. It works really well, and it provides the customer peace of mind that they're still going to be able to get their firmware updates and access to any software downloads that they need for their specific server or environment.
Mm-hmm. And what, you guys will manage the support ticket through Cantel to HP and to the OEM?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
if there's a contract with, we call it call management or warranty management. So if you take out a contract with devices that are supported by Cantel, but there's a few devices on there that are OEM supported, and eventually you might think about moving those across to Cantel as well once they're kind of aged a bit more. Yeah, we can absolutely do that. We manage that ticket end to end and provide this for you.
Yeah, well, it also gives you like one number to call if anything goes wrong. Gives you one sort of place to go if something's going wrong.
Yeah, which is kind of the goal, really. We want to make it simple for customers to raise support tickets. It's not, when you're buying support contracts, it's not tangible, right? So, but you absolutely need it when something goes wrong.
Yeah, sure.
You probably know, Charlie, right?
Yeah, when you're trying to find the number for one of your support guys, just give me that one number. Do one number for everything. Yeah. That's what we like. Simple things. No, simple things are where we like to be.
Yeah, so we want to make it easy for customers and to raise tickets on a single portal and through a single phone number. 24/7, you can get a hold of someone, an engineer to get on site to fix whatever it is you need to fix. So it's there for the critical environments. And because it's multi-vendor, it's great. You're right. It's one person to call, one renewal date. Fantastic.
Yeah, no, definitely. And your project services. Do you want to just elaborating on what kind of Cantel's offerings are and kind of sort of how that might affect businesses?
So we're providing feet on the street and project managers and skilled engineers to do a couple of things, really. One of the main things that we've been doing over the last couple of years, and kind of fell into it really from an ask from a customer, but have really gone long strides into providing a great rollout service for mass deployment. So especially in the last couple of years when customers have been upgrading their Windows 7 machines up to Windows 10, Qual might then go have the customer might then purchase the new laptops from Qual. We will then go out and then deploy those laptops to desk as well, whether it would be imaging, also deployment to desk when it comes to joint domain, adding the printers for the user, making sure that they're trained and know Windows 10 and all the applications are downloaded and they're ready to go for their new machine. And guess what? We'll take the old one away, maybe provide some value for it, or get them certified and destroyed if need be in terms of the hardware erasure as well. So that's what we're doing in terms of rollouts, and also where we're having project days where you need someone on site to go and be a desk side service and provide the feet on the street for where customers have offices where they don't have an IT person there. And we find that that's becoming key. And again, especially in this environment where you might have a lot more remote workers, and you need an engineer out there to go solve something on site which you can't solve remotely. We're providing contracts where you can get engineer out there to go and fix whatever it is that needs to be fixed or change whatever needs to be changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that sounds perfect. So it's almost like a start to finish service. You do everything from the get-go to clearing up and getting rid of the old kit, if anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And we utilize our break-fix engineers and maintenance engineers as well for rack and stack services and moves. So a lot of customers take on not just the maintenance side, but have an element of kind of on-site data center work. We call it IMAX, installs, moves, and changes. So they might want to decommission a server, and then a new server comes in. They want us to rack that server, get it connected into the network. So then the IT department can see that and then install all their operating systems after that. So we're doing a lot of that at the moment. There's a lot of consolidation going on in data centers that we see, and that's a growing part of our business. Okay,
and do you have any? Have you got any partnerships with data centers at the moment? Any specific data centers, or is it just?
So we work along. A lot of the colos we work inside where our engineers have been in and are familiar with those. So a lot of the Equinix ones, and across Europe as well, we're doing that. So UK Fast in Manchester, for example, we're heavily in there as well. So we're providing support services for customers in these places where we're also providing IMAX, we call them, as I mentioned. So it really does help because you've got that one person, one service delivery manager to look after, not just your maintenance side, but also some of the changes you're making in the environment as well. and actually there's been a growth recently of that because people are repurposing what their servers are doing as well. So
yeah, for sure. I know that we've got a few things lined up in the pipeline, but obviously they're on hold at the moment. But as you said, it would be good to maybe put them in touch and get in touch with them, and obviously let them know about Cantel's offerings with these flexible support contracts, just whilst things sort themselves out, and obviously the world gets back to normal. And then when it does, we can.
I think flexibility is key at this time. You want to be able to then flex up and down in terms of support and a number of devices, and your SLA as well, where when people start coming back into work, there's going to be a surge in faults, because things have changed. You might then start switching stuff back on that you've not used in a while. Well, that's where we come in to go and help out. So even things like backups and things like that. So we're providing rotation services for backups at the moment for a lot of customers.
Okay. Well, like tapes and things. Just sort of.
On tapes, yeah. Tape's still going, Charlie. I tell you, they're still there.
No, get rid of the tape. No, I do know people love a tape. Can't go wrong with a bit of tape. It seems to be once you start, you can't stop with that. You kind of get.
Yeah, people think that tape's going, but the great thing about tape is that we can rotate it, take the tape away, and store it securely. And if they ever do need to come back and restore any of that data, we can do, and bring it back into the data center and get that tape drive back up and running. To whatever you need. So, no, absolutely, it's something that we're doing. But yeah, that work in a data center, I think in this day and age, we need to be flexible, provide a flex up and down. We call it true up, true down process, where you're taking the kit off and bringing kits on. But even for the SMB reseller as well, technology is moving at a fast pace. In terms of server technology, we're able to get the spares quickly and to their computer room and make sure that server's back up and running again. So if you've got 3 or 4 servers that are providing critical kit, we can provide spares on site ready to go. So your IT manager can go swap that hard drive out or that power supply or that fan out straight away. And then will come on site and then replace those on-site spare kits as well. So providing that quick turnaround and first time fix is kind of where we are.
And is HP one of the only ones you kind of you can't do the firmware side of things, or is that I think Cisco do a similar thing where you can't get hold of certain bits of software unless you're a Cisco registered, what have you, or you're the device.
Yeah, so we're a Cisco partner, which is great. So we're able to access Cisco IS updates, so we can provide Cisco spares engineers as well as the iOS updates and TAC access as well, which is great. HP do lock it down. However, with HP, they provide security and safety updates free of charge. So, your end users should be aware that if there is any critical updates, if they go onto the HP support website, they're able to download those without having a contract whatsoever.
Right.
So it's always worth checking. Get your serial number. Go onto the HP website, support website, whether it's the HPE or the HP PC side of the business. And once you've typed in the serial number, you should be able to see a lot of the downloads that are available. A lot of them will be locked down if it's ProLiant kit, for example, but the critical ones will be available for you. So you'll go there and you can download any critical updates for your RAID controllers or whatever it might be.
And does HP offer kind of like a baseline, just so you could get those firmware ones without having to have like a huge contract on top of that? Can you get like just sort of a really basic sort of support contract, or do you have to enter into like the 9 to 5 next business day kind of territory?
The great thing about any DL server, right? So anything DL3, DL36, DL380 upwards, you get a warranty as standard. It's the next business day warranty as standard. And the great thing is you can use Cantel to uplift that contract to a 24/7, 4-hour, whatever you might need on that contract.
Okay.
However, because you've got the warranty in place still, you can then have access to firmware updates. So whatever firmware you require, the smart ProLiant catalog updates that come out, you have access to those. So we recommend, even if you're not going to update your firmware, when those new releases do come out, get them downloaded, And then when you do move over to Cantel support and you do need to upgrade the firmware, we can access. You've got access to those, and then we can update your servers as required. When it comes to Dell, 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 you can download the firmware whether you have a support contract or not with the OEM, so it's fantastic. So for any part as well, so for your RAID controllers and everything else. When it comes to the storage side of it, we would provide that service on recommendation whether we think that storage product should come on support with us or not, and whether it's stable enough for the latest version of the firmware that it comes on support. When we think it's at that stage, we would provide the independent support on it. Absolutely.
Right. Okay. That's good. It's always interesting to know, because obviously it might mean that it might make you think about, I suppose, what manufacturer you might go with. If you're sort of more HP or more Dell inclined, you might sort of go, well, HP do this, Dell do this, blah blah blah. It's interesting to know that HP obviously more locked down about their updates than other vendors are.
And that's, it never used to be like that. They used to have Pro line updates freely available. But again, anything that's security or safety related on the firmware, they will provide that without having a contract with them, which is great.
And your end user sort of break fix contracts, are you guys still? How are you managing your devices that are now may not be in the office anymore? They might be at someone's house, or the user might have taken home their device that was under the support contract for.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of if they've taken that laptop home, there's a couple of things. If it breaks, the user can take it back into the office where we had the original contract, and then we can go and pick it up and fix it.
Yeah.
Or depending on guidelines, we can go to the property and provide a pickup, take it back to the workshop and get that fixed, and provide a loan unit in the meantime as well. So if there are end users who really need that laptop immediately and to carry on working, might be getting straight back into what they need to do, provide that loan unit, take the other one away, make sure we get that one fixed in the workshop, and then get that back as well and swap it back out again. So, although they're challenging times, there's always a way around things.
No, for sure. That sounds like a great service.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we do a lot of that for, when someone's got a laptop, it typically means that they would take them home, right? So we have seen contracts where, and I'm thinking of one in Scotland where we had to go to one just outside of Aberdeen where the user actually worked in Edinburgh, but it was a VIP for this customer, and their laptop was just didn't switch on in the morning. So we went on site, we went to the customer. This was the end of last year actually, and we went on site and we actually provided the loan machine, got the other one back to our Glasgow location, and made sure that it was fixed and get it back up and all the image stored it back on, all the software back on, and make sure the applications are working back up again. So so it's something absolutely, and that's another thing. End user devices, people are getting more and more reliant on them in this day and age, just because of the environment we're in. And so we have to provide good support for it. Next business day kind of suffice for all that stuff, but we can provide 4 hour in a lot of the major cities as well for end user devices. But I would suggest that if a customer is looking at that, that you have a kind of loan machines available for if it does go wrong. So typically what would need, if it's a cracked screen or you need to get it back into the workshop to get that back up and running and imaged, then the end user doesn't want to be waiting around while that happens. So it's good to have a loan machine handy to get that.
Yeah, I suppose most loan machines might be stuck at someone's office though, or an office somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. In that case, we will bring a loan machine for you.
But yeah, no, I know in the past I've seen some VIPs have spares. So your spare phone, spare iPad, spare laptop, just waiting around just in case anything happens, that it's ready and waiting for him, because he can't be without it. So they do exist, and they do happen. But obviously, with what's going on, they might not be able to get to those kind of things, or it's going to take someone a lot longer to try and get to a spare, or have access to spares. But I'm assuming you guys have, you've been sort of following the guidelines and doing what you can where you can.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're shipping spares to site where possible, and an engineer is when absolutely needed. So it's working, it's great. We're getting faults fixed as quick as we were, 3 or 4 months ago. So
Yeah.
it's going, in terms of service, it's working and it's going well. But again, what I would suggest with end user devices is that, in that situation, making sure that their data is saved onto a cloud drive, whether they use OneDrive or whatever they do within their or shared drive in their environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're then able to access that data on our own machine when we're doing the break fix on the actual broken laptop or whatever it may be.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just speaking of backups, I did there's actually a video you can see if you go into our channel. You can see there's a video last week or 2 weeks ago, I think it was posted, about backups for your home devices. So have a quick look at that. There's a good tips on Windows, Macs, and also cloud offerings. So check that one out, guys. If you haven't seen that, that will help you back up your data, at least, especially on your home machines. Obviously, your work machines might already have backup systems in place, or you might already have some cloud offerings that you can obviously use. But yeah, no, that's awesome stuff. Have you guys got anything coming up in the pipeline, or anything new Cantel's bringing to the table this year or towards the end?
Yeah, so I mean, the short-term contracts is something that's that we're promoting, especially again, we talk about the current environment, when you're delaying projects and things like that. Providing that even that 1 to 3 month contract could be invaluable for a customer who want to get kit supported, to make sure that if anything goes wrong on that equipment, that someone's able to come on site and fix it, whatever it may be. So that's something that we're looking at. We're also bringing on some new storage equipment that we're supporting. So the way our product cycle works in terms of support services is that as soon as the vendor, it's like an N-1 we call it. So the vendor might bring out a new generation of a server or a new storage device, and the one that it precedes, that's the one that we kind of focus on and making sure that we've got all the spares available and all our engineers are trained up on how to support that machine. So look out for, if you've got some kit in your data center that's kind of 2 to 3 years old, that'd be Dell, HP, NetApp, PNC. That's the type of equipment we're focusing on and making sure that we've got in our labs, in our locations, those spares and running machines as well. So our engineers then replicate faults in the racks themselves, and that's great because we know exactly what to do then when something goes wrong in that particular environment within that customer.
Very nice. Yeah. So you're getting yourselves sort of get your techies trained up on the best way to resolve things now, to obviously do it the most efficient way, which is always
yeah, absolutely. So with one in particular, we Dell EMC Unity. So if any customers listening that have got Unity, we're providing support on that now in terms of software support and also the hardware break fix side of it as well. And obviously, you need to compare that to what the Dell EMC are providing, and then we can take a look at it for you. We can even provide a health check on that. So because our engineers are very well versed in the systems, if we kick out the auto supports or the SP collects, they call them, on these devices, and they're able to look through the logs and be kind of a mini health check before it comes onto contract. Then might show that they're utilizing one part of the system, they're not utilizing another part, or just recommendations of how to store the data. It might give some advice on the SSD life, for example. So we can offer that type of advice before it comes onto contract in the transition period, which is great. It's not something that the OEM doesn't offer, and that knowledge from that engineer will provide some kind of peace of mind for that customer, that we're able to take that onto contract and we know what we're talking about.
Okay, and is that just for the Unity stuff, or do you guys do that for sort of any?
No, we do that for all the storage kit. It's mainly for storage, right? Because people are worried about their data and where it's stored and how it's stored.
Yeah.
And they don't want to lose it. So for anything storage device, we can take a look at the logs for it and just give advice and a mini health check remotely on what we need to do to get it back up and running if something's not working properly, or whether it's to make sure we're storing the customer is storing storage in the right way to manufacturers' guidelines, and to check life of certain components as well. And even we can do physical audits. And there might be, if you're someone that's got a manufacturing plant and these devices are in a location where there might be a lot of dust or whatever, would go on and make sure that the environment that the device is stored in is actually suited to what the device should be stored in.
Oh, right. Okay. So like environmental checks and the kind of thing, like temperature and moisture and that kind of.
Absolutely, yeah. And then we'll provide recommendations on what, you might need to bring in an air conditioning unit into that room, or some sort of dust removal facility, because we've seen that before, where you've gone on site and you've put your finger over a device and literally it's just and it's still running, so that kind of thing. But absolutely, get our engineers to do a health check, and also an environmental check and on-site check as well, just to make sure that it's fully up and running when it comes onto contract, and that we can provide some sort of maintenance activity, preventive maintenance activity as we go along the contract as well.
Okay, yeah, sounds great. Sounds like a great service to sign up for. I'm sure plenty of people will be grateful to have those kind of things offered. With obviously what's going on, obviously these short-term contracts, is there? You don't still need like on-site visits to look at these servers. What kind of details do you need from a customer to just say, I want a couple of months of my servers just to sign up for?
Yeah, absolutely. To enable to get a solution across to you, some sort of pricing solution, we need to know the make and model of the device. If it's storage, we'd need to know the type of hard drives are in there, and software installed, and any other I/O that's installed within the system, and also if there's any SSDs in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
We need to know the location of the equipment in terms of town, city, address is fine. The SLA required and the contract term. Once you've got that information, and then we can then provide you with the costings and get that onboarded as soon as you want, really.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So that's awesome. So yeah, so we can definitely get that out there to everybody and sort of let them know that just pass their details on to us, and then we can obviously chat with you guys and come up with get a price for them and get back to them as soon as.
And the main thing is, right, that if you want to have a look at your environment, your customer wants to look at the environment and go, right, okay, send us a list of all your server storage equipment or networking equipment. We can take a look and go, actually, those 3 or 4 items, they're prime for independent support. You're wasting your money with the OEM. It's Cisco, we're not releasing any updates or whatever it might be. And then we can kind of provide a list and say, well, those 3 or 4 items, you should go on to third party. So, and then we can provide a hybrid solution there. And then what that helps the end user with is with obviously value, but also to know that they're covered with the localized parts and they're not wasting their money with the OEM when it comes to some of those devices.
No, for sure. No, that's awesome. That's been great. Preet, I think that's all we've got time for. I don't think anybody's fired any questions at us today, but that's not a problem. I'm sure we've given them all they need to know. But that's been amazing. So I will give everybody good work.
Right.
Goodbye, and hopefully everyone's staying safe. And then, we'll see you guys.